For the sake of perspective, I'm a 20-something-year-old female. My name is Marla. I live alone not far out of town, far enough to have privacy, but close enough to do anything I wanted, whenever I wanted to do it. What happened to me still gives me anxiety and trouble sleeping. I had recently gotten sick with the flu and felt it was worse than what I could handle. So I went to the ER and had to spend the night for observation and testing because everything is slower because of COVID. Long story short, I was sent home with antibiotics and cough syrup. My family and friends decided I need to focus on recovery, and they started bringing me groceries once a week and prepared meals every day. Some even sent me little gifts and things to help me pass the couple of weeks I would be down. Did I mention I have awesome friends and family? Anyway, late one evening in the middle of the week, after I had a meal dropped off by my good friend Mike, who was a local police officer, I got a startling knock at my front door. It wasn't exactly a light knock. It was kind of a banging. Anyway, I peeked out the blinds and saw a rather creepy-looking dude with unkempt hair and a scrawny little mustache poking out above his poorly worn face mask, standing at the door with a box. He looked familiar, but I couldn't place where I've seen him. But he was wearing a brown button-up shirt, brown shorts, and brown shoes, so I assumed he was a delivery guy. I wish I would have never opened the door. He handed me the box and said, "Have a good night, ma'am." He sounded like a 12-year-old boy, honestly. I was a little creeped out because I've never had a delivery this late. It was after 8 p.m. I locked the door back and went into the living room. I sanitized the box and opened it up. Inside, there was a new iPod. I was so excited. But I didn't know who sent it because there was no return address. I assumed it was one of my friends being sneaky and getting me this. I put it on charge on my dresser and went to bed. At about 3 a.m., I was woken up by a knock noise coming from outside. Not outside my bedroom in the house, but outside the house itself. I peeked out my window, but I couldn't see anything. As I went to lay back down, in my delirium, it looked like my iPod was now on and lit up. But I just fell back into bed and went back to sleep. Now, I'm not real tech savvy, even though my generation is, but the next day, I plugged it up to my computer to sync it to my playlist and put on my downloaded music. I listened to music all day on it. I even soaked in the bathtub with my favorite music playing in my ears. That evening, I plugged it back up and went to bed. I was woken up again around 3 a.m. to another knocking noise outside. I was freaked out because this was the second night in a row. I sat up in bed and noticed again that the iPod was on. I went over to it and it was just on the home screen. I focused my eyes on it and noticed nothing unusual. I then hear a rustling sound outside my window, followed by a soft giggle, like the way a little boy would giggle from seeing a girl, kind of weird, creepy giggle. I rushed to the window and opened the blinds to find the bush still swaying and the back leg of someone as they turned the corner of my house out of sight, running away. I ran into the living room and looked out the front window, but saw nothing. I called up Mike immediately, and he came out as it was his week for night shift. He looked around the house and down the property, but found nothing. The next couple of days were uneventful. About 3 days after that last encounter, I checked my mail, and in it was a blank envelope. No addresses or postage. Someone had stuck it in my mailbox. I thought it was one of my friends, as she has done that before, dropping things off. As I stand there at the mailbox, I open the envelope. It only has an SD card in it. I thought that was very strange. I go inside and pop it in the computer. To my horror, there were photos on the SD card. Photos of me. One with me walking through the living room, one with me staring right into the picture with squinty eyes, and another of me watching TV. I screamed when I saw them. I called Mike crying and told him what happened, and he and his wife and one of the local detectives came to me. Mike's wife consoled me while he and the detective started investigating. The detective pointed out that these photos were clear. That means they were taken of me inside the house, and the photo of my face is a selfie perspective. I was so confused. I didn't take these photos. He asked if anyone had come in the house to do work or anything. Mike told him about the incidents outside the few days before. The detective froze and asked me point blank if I got an iPod mailed to me directly with no sender information. I told him I did, and I thought it was one of my friends being sneaky. I got it and handed it to him. He immediately turned it off and said he needed to take my computer as well since I plugged it up to it. I agreed. A couple days later, the detective came back to my house with my computer, but no iPod. He said that I had been targeted by a sophisticated peeping Tom. The photos came from the iPod and my computer's webcam. He was able to listen to me and snap photos of me through the iPod, and when I plugged it into my computer, he bugged my webcam to be able to see me through it and take photos. See, I leave my laptop on and open throughout the day, and the webcam is not covered when out of use. There had been 2 other cases of the exact same thing in a neighboring town. All the women described getting a package delivered late by a creepy guy. I was the only one who reported someone outside my home. He feared the guy was getting bold and strongly recommended that I stay with someone for a while during the investigation. So I packed up my stuff and stayed with Mike and his wife in their bonus room. That's where I still am, as the guy has not been caught and they have no leads. It truly terrifies me that even in this day and age, with education, security, and advances in crime fighting, people can still become helpless victims. I shudder to think about what else that guy had in mind, and his face is burned in my memory. Please, please be very careful about something out of the ordinary. This has taught me to be more careful and not take my safety for granted. Hopefully they catch him and nobody else has to deal with this. Thank you everyone for listening and watching. My name is Matt. I hope you enjoyed my story. Your generosity and support is much appreciated, so please hit that subscribe button and like my video and share to your social media. I'll catch everyone in the next video.